Hello and welcome to Hobby Vlog number 212, and yes, today is Christmas Eve, and yes, I am going to do a vlog, and very excited. Rosie downstairs, so it's going to be edited very quickly and I need to get back to her. However, it's been a fantastic week. I've had a lot of fun. I've not done as much hobbying this week. I've done more other things, quite a lot of painting, and I've spent some time doing various other bits and pieces, getting ready for Christmas. But I do think this is going to be a relatively good vlog. Now, I am going to jump straight into announcing something which is running all through next year and which I would love for you all to be involved with. So last week, the week before last, I tidied up all of my Reaper miniatures, stacked them all up, put them in drawers so that I could see what they were. And I've decided that I'm going to try and paint one Reaper miniature a week, every week next year. And I want you to pick which one I do for the next week. So I'll be starting on the 1st of January, which is a week tomorrow, obviously. And I will be looking for you to vote for one of the names which are on the screen now. You can do that by commenting on this video. Please do it as a root comment. Don't reply to other people, otherwise I might not see your vote, because there's going to be one vote per person for every comment that you leave, which is a vote for this the little fun challenge for myself, and I will add all those votes up over the entire year, and prize to be confirmed, haven't decided yet, but next year the person with the most votes will win a prize and I'll send it to you. So get involved, just leave a comment with the name of the miniature that you want me to paint next week. So starting at the end of, I'm getting confused, for the first week in January, that's what I'm going to say. And then next week I'll announce who I'm going to paint. I will announce a list of another 10 names, and it will repeat through the year like that. So that's how that's going to work. That was a little bit complicated, but hopefully that made sense. Anyway, other thing to say, final week of the Let's Finish the Year Strong Challenge, the Beard Clipper Challenge. I've had quite a few people sending me pictures. If you haven't sent them yet, fire them over. We've got a week to push on, and I'm pushing on as well. I'm well past my 100, so brilliant. Thank you all for all of your help and encouragement in smashing that. So yeah, and the final thing to say is we didn't actually play a game last weekend, unfortunately, so you're not about to see some role-playing summaries because we just didn't get time last Sunday. But as soon as this video is edited, I'm hoping that we're going to get to the next session, so you will be able to look forward to that for your New Year's Eve vlog next week. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching. A bit more of an involved intro. I really hope that you can leave that comment below voting. If you just want to leave a one-word comment, that's enough. You don't need to say anything else, just the name of the miniature that you want. And those names will be in the description as well. So if you haven't managed to catch them on the screen, don't worry. They are in the description and in the pinned comment if you want to see them. So enough of that chattering. Let's get to the vlogging. Thank you ever so much for watching. Well, here we are, my little bit of scatter terrain. Obviously we've got quite a warp on the cardboard, but hopefully it's going to be okay when I cut it out, but we shall see. It took quite a long time to dry, mainly because it's so cold here at the moment. And one of the good things about sandy terrain is cardboard isn't that unnatural a colour. So what we're going to do is just going to come around here with the sharp knife, going to cut around it and see what it looks like. And if it's rubbish, it's rubbish. And if it's not, then win, frankly. And I might make some more, but not for this video. I really like the way that the rock looks like it kind of rises out of a desert sandscape. So the effect has worked well. It's just whether the material I've put it on has let me down. I think that's the point. The actual effect is perfect. Bit of rocky, sandy, gravelly stuff, and surround that with my grout mix, and yeah, it's cool. So nearly finished cutting it out. There we are. That isn't too bad at all. Let's get that into shot. There we are. Right, that isn't too bad at all. It's a little bit warped, but if I grab myself my favourite 28mm model that I have on the side from Paint All the Minis, and not Paint All the Minis, Paint to Life, and I miss him. I haven't spoken to him for ages, and I miss his channel and I miss his humour. But you can see that, I mean, this has got a very small base, but even with the very small base, you're able to stand over the top of this mostly. With the bigger base it'll be easier. you can generally get yourself to stand up, I think. Yep, and that's going to stand there, maybe not. Yeah, so I can't really stand in the middle of it, but most of the rest of it you can, and that looks really cool. So I'm pretty pleased with that as a little experiment, and I will keep that rock stuff now, I won't throw it away, and I'll make some more scatter terrain, because that's going to be really good for playing Haradrim style boards. So yeah, I'm not sure whether I'll do it on cardboard again, but I did just want to keep up with the theme here of reusing stuff, and that was going to get binned anyway. So that was pure waste materials turned into terrain. So hopefully that'll inspire you to look around yourself and pick stuff up and give it a go. So there we are. So here we have it. I've got a little bit of touching up still to do on this tower, but the other tower is done. I'm going to need to lift that up a bit so you can see it. Yeah, there we are. And my two different tops are done as well. So we've got the first one there, which looks great. Now I do have a little bit to do. I want to make that a little bit more stable, so I'm going to show you how that's going to work. And I want to make that a little bit more stable, so I'll show you how that's going to work. So those are the final things really to do on this build after I've done the touching up there. You've just seen my little bit of scatter terrain, and here is, I'll put it down here now, because it makes it a bit less likely to fall over. And I'll do exactly the same technique to make all of these more stable. But that is what the big fighting top looks like, and I think you'll have to agree that looks great. And the cool thing with this is we can even turn it 45 degrees, so it's a little bit more interesting to look at, and we can have it both long ways this way or long ways this way, because it's not totally and utterly, this is slightly longer than that. But I think that's worked out really well. And if I just move the camera down a little bit, we'll have a look at how the snakes look. They are nicely bedded into the texture as well and looking great. So yeah, happy with how this has turned out. I will, as I say, just do a little bit of touching up on that tower, and then I'll bring you back to show you how I'm planning on making these tower sections a little bit more stable, and then we're finished. Well, the ridge tiles are now secured. As you can see, I used a fair number of clamps, just 4 clamps, just to make sure that it was all held in place. And that, oh, struggling to get this one off, there we are. That is now looking brilliant. So there's my roof. So the next step is to do the little end walls. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of this square here. And it's going to be as simple as setting the square in, marking where I want the walls to come down, from there to there, cutting in a straight line across here, and then doing the same kind of, getting a 90 degree here, and I'll have 2 end walls which I will scribe on with some blocks. So how am I going to get that 90 degrees? I don't know. I'm just going to hopefully get it right. But one idea that I did have, which if it works will be rocking and rolling, is to use my set square, hold everything in place and draw down like that. And I think that instinct has worked out and is actually going to be correct. So we'll do the same side. Oh, get everything right. Not so easy being right-handed to do this side. It's a bit more difficult. I have to come round and hold it like that. There we are. Oh, it's not wanting to stay very stable. There we are. It bent a little bit at the end, but I've got enough that I can continue that. So what I'll do now is cut that out and then get the 90 degree correct there, and then glue it in place using probably the same glue again, because yeah, man am I loving that. And then when I come to do the scribing, I'll get the camera running again and show you what that looks like. But for now, let's get this cut out and get both sides shaped and get it glued in place. Actually, maybe I'll do the scribing before I glue it in place. Either way, I'll be back when I come to do the scribing. Right then, so I've finished doing the walls. I've just loosely pinned these in place for now, just so I could test it fitted right, and it does. So we'll take these out. I will make use of these dressmaking pins when I actually do the final fit as well. But yeah, so we'll take those out, lay these down, and what I'm going to do now is start scribing, and then I will show you how I'm going to do all the painting. and I'll assemble it and then paint it all together. So once I've assembled, once I've done all this, then I'll do my assembly and then I'll do the painting, and then we'll do the snow. So I've got this, did that way around. I've got this this tool, which is just a normal sculpting tool, and as simple as you just kind of like draw your bricks in. Doesn't take very long, and it works really well. Remember to offset your bricks, and then when we come to do the painting, we can dry brush this and you'll see the bricks nicely. Or I might even do something a bit special on this, thinking about it, so the bricks will have mortar between them. It's been a little while since I've done that technique, so it'd be nice to do it again. So yeah, so I don't need to worry about doing two sides or going over the top, because this will be hidden by the overhang. So all I need to do is that on all of these, and then I'll bring you back when I'm about to do the gluing. So yeah, pretty cool. Well, there we are, that's got the texture done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to glue it together. So I take my little pins, which will help to keep this rigid. And the first thing is just to start a couple off. If you do this, you'll find it much easier. So start a couple off, try to make sure they're going through totally straight if you possibly can. And then once you've got them started off, what we'll do is get a little bit of grabby glue. Make sure I put it on the correct end. There we are. A little bit of grabby glue. And then, again, trying to make sure that everything is square, though you do have some adjustment opportunity here. What we'll do is we'll push that in place. And then we keep going on round all the four sides we want to do. So we'll put another couple of pins through here. Get this side glued on, and then do the other end gable, and then I'll glue the roof on. So I'll get these done and I'll bring you back when I'm about to do the roof. So just to make sure that those pins aren't sticking out, I make use of this awesome tool which has a nice flat end on it, and I'm pushing the pins right the way in, so they're not going to get in the way when I start painting and become annoying. But they are going to really help to hold this together. And you do want to do this before you start painting, because you have put glue on. You don't want to affect your glue and your fit. So now you can see how that really works nicely. So we're going to use some more grabby glue. I'm not using Copydex for this bit. This is what grabby glue is perfect for. And we're just going to run the bead down the cables here, like so, press it on and leave it to go off, and then I'll bring you back very shortly for the painting, very shortly in your time, probably in a couple of hours for me for the painting. And there we have it. We have our little building for Santa Claus on his rocket sleigh to land on. How cool's that? Right, it's time to paint this. Just left it probably about an hour or so, and that's set well enough for me to paint it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to slap black house paint on, which is what's in here. As per usual, when I'm painting early afternoon or hobbying early afternoon, the sun is coming in, streaming in, probably making the shot all that great. But all I'm doing is slapping black paint over absolutely everything. This is to make the colours, make the shadows have some depth, and also to fill in and hide any gaps. So it just gives it a little bit more, makes it a little bit easier as we go forwards. And I might do 2 coats of black. I'll see how well the coverage is once it's dried, because you really don't want any of that green showing through. So yeah, get this painted black, let it dry, make sure it's completely done and dusted, doesn't need to have any more black paint on it. And then, well, we're going to come up with some grout, which I'm using a lot of at the moment, but I have a really cool way of doing the mortar between the bricks, which looks great, and I want to show you it. So yeah, that's not filming very well, but you get the idea. Slap black paint all over it. I'll be back in a bit. Right, the black paint's dried. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make use of my grout mix, tile grout mix, which I've got here already in front of me. And I'm just going to paint that all over the bricks. Just like this. And that will go into the gaps and make a nice grouty colour, which will then look like mortar. And then I can come along and add a different colour over the top, and that will then look like bricks. It's a really quick, cheaty way of achieving what I'm trying to achieve. So yeah, that's how I do it. So I'll get this all painted on. It'll only do one coat because all I care about is that it goes into the gaps, and then I'll come back a bit later on. This dries quite quick as well, and I'll be able to apply the colour to the bricks. Now this bit here I'm going to do wood, so that'll be done brown, which is why I'm avoiding it now. And yeah, let's I'll get this done. I'll stop filming now because it's all the same, and bring you back when I come to the next step. Well, that was superbly productive. Will I get him done in time? Of course I will. I've done him in a day. Just goes to show what you can do when you set your mind to it. So yeah, so what I've got here, I've painted him up and I have videoed it, so that will be coming out on an average painter probably very soon, to be honest. It might even be out before you see this on the vlog on Beard Clipper. So I'm going to think about editing it soon, and I'm really pleased with how he looks. Absolutely brilliant. And I was umming and ahhing about bases. I got my base box out and I was looking at this, which is one, or I've got these, and then I remembered that outside room 13, when we tidied up upstairs for doing the roof space, we cleared away a load of these rocks. Now these rocks were part of a educational thing for the schools, and this is granite, as you can see, or marble even, marble, which is pretty cool, isn't it? So what I thought I would do is I will mount him onto the marble, and then it'll be really cool. It'll be a memory of the school. This is from when it was a school, and I can potentially put a little bit of snow effects on the front if I want to, but I don't have to. I might just leave it like this. So what we're going to do is just get some super glue. Hopefully that'll be sufficient. You won't want to be picking this up by the Grinch. I'll have to make sure that Rosie understands this, because I don't think this super glue will be strong enough. However, let's leave that to go off, leave that to set, and see how it looks. But I'm really pleased with how this has come, really pleased with how quickly it's come together, and it's actually beaten Cyber Santa to completion, which is something, isn't it? It just goes to show, like I say, I got a nice bit of time to paint today, and it was actually really nice and easy to paint. So yeah, there we are. That will look brilliant on the Christmas dinner table, because that's where it's going to go. Right, and the last little bits involve cutting up this water bottle, which I thought I'd lost and then I found again. So we're just going to start through this with the knife. Actually, we might be able to get away with cutting it all with a knife. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the bottom off this bottle first. So I'll just get that done. There we are. So we've got the bottom off the bottle. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to cut a strip out about 1 inch wide, a couple of centimetres wide. Yeah. And I might find it easier to use the scissors for this, but I'm just going to get this cut as well now. It's not very easy cutting that straight. Anyway, so now we're going to split that down, and I'm going to cut a section out of that, like so. And then I'm going to glue that to the inside here, and I'm going to put two on, one here, one here. So I'll get that done. I'm going to use grabby glue for that. And I'm going to do this on the bottom of the tops. let me just grab them. I'm going to also take this and glue that on there as well. So inside that. And then what that will do is that will then mean that it can slot on top, if you see what I mean. And I will also glue, I might have to cut the bottom out of this actually, I haven't thought about that. And I'm going to glue the bottom onto there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare myself, get my glues together, cut my strips out, and I'll bring you back when I come to the sticking. Right, so I've had another thought and I've got a better idea. It's roughly the same idea, but it's going to work better. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to glue these to the top of each of the towers. So this one that's loose, and the other one there that's actually stuck to the base, to the building. And I'm going to stick them on like so. I'm going to stick them at such a height that these tops will sit on flush. So what I've done, just to show you, that one's done, is I've cut that strip, that ring that I cut off the bottom of the bottle into 4 sections, and I'm now using my safety ruler to get an absolutely straight top, because that's what we need. We need a straight top. We don't want it to be curvy, and it was very difficult to get an accurate cut, as you saw, but that's not a problem, as you're seeing now, because we can just tidy it up. So that's not very easy to, there we are, that's better. Right, so we just use the safety ruler and make that a straight line, like so. So we've got a straight line there, and then we'll do the last one, which is here. And just make sure that's got a straight top as well. There we are. Good. So we've got 4 straight tops, and we have 2 towers that we want to have these stuck to the top of. So if we get our grabby glue here, could probably also use super glue for this if you don't have grabby glue, but I do. And what we'll do is we'll just put a smear of grabby glue around the inside here, and hopefully this will work. What I'll do is I will check that it's dried, and if it hasn't, then I'll let you know, and we'll do super glue, or maybe I'll do grabby glue on one side and super glue on the other. That's a good idea, and then we can really see whether which is best. So making sure that we put the straight edge to the top. Let's put some super glue on this. And stick it in. The good thing with both super glue and grabby glue is you don't need to clamp it. Now super glue worked really well, look at that. Though I have then now stuck it to my finger. I think I put too much super glue on, isn't that always the way? There we are. Right, so that now should be enough that it will support and prevent that from sliding around and falling off, which is all the purpose is for. So we'll let that dry, I'll bring it back. Oh, I'll let that dry, bring it back, show you what it looks like when it's done, and tell you which of these adhesives was the best to use. But this is the final task for this build. Right, my grout is dried, so now I've got my brick colour, and what we're going to do is paint each brick. Now when I did this before, I did it with dry brushing, but I don't think my indentations are deep enough on this, so we'll just do each brick, which won't take that long, and that leaves the grout colour in the middle. Now if you don't have grout, then of course you could do this with 2 types of paint. You could get yourself some kind of like mortar-y grout coloured paint, which I have done this technique with before like that as well, and it works well. I just wanted the extra texture. Oops, I'm getting some red on what's going to be wood, but that's fine, I can tidy that up. But you can see just how effective that is. Really, really quick and you've got a brick wall. So I'm going to carry on with that, do the rest of the building, and then, oh no, I just need to do it flat. There we are, how about that? I forgot my own technique. So just pull the brush down flat. That's super quick, look at how quick that is. Haha. Isn't it funny how when you forget your own technique? Just have the brush, a very stiff brush, but flat, and you get bricks. So I will do the rest of the building now, and that won't take very long at all. And then we'll do the wood, and then we'll paint the actual tiles, and then it's going to be snow effects, which is what I'm very much excited for. I've not done snow effects since last winter. There we are. How about that? So easy to get a really nice red brick effect with a mortar in the middle. Perfect. Right, let that dry. I'll come back in a bit. We'll do the wood and the roof. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to paint the roof. I'm going to come in on that. I'm going to paint it grey, and I'm going to do it by brushing down only. Oh, that got stuck to my brush. So that's what I'm going to do, and that will mean I retain the shadows that I want, and it also gives a little bit of an interesting kind of texture to the tiles. Now these will largely be covered up by the snow effect, but it's nice. It's like with people that model interiors on model railway buildings and then glue them up, no one can see them, or do the interior of a tank or something and then cover it up, never to be seen again. You know you've done it right, and that's a nice feeling. So there we are, I'll let that dry, and I might come along and dry brush it a bit with some of the lighter grey, but I might not bother. I might leave it like that. There we are, it's coming on this. Next up, let's get the wood done. So I'm going to make use of my raw umber and a smaller brush. So we'll stand this on its end just to make it a bit easier, and again just carefully paint that on just to make it so it's not black. There we are. So I'll do that around all of it, including underneath the eaves here. Not that it will really be visible, but I'll know it's there. And then, when all this is dried, we're going to start on the snow effects. And I need to decide if I'm going to glue the sled in place before or after I do the snow effects. I think I'm going to need to kind of do it all at the same time, because I want to get snow underneath, and that will be a little difficult to do if the sled is glued in, but I also want to get the kind of like, so it's going to be this direction and he's going to be taken off like this, so I want to get the snow in underneath. So what I'll probably do is mix the snow up, get the snow over, and then come in with some super glue, press the rocket sled in place like this with the glue, hold it for a bit, maybe try and support it somehow, and then that will look, I think that'll be the best way to do it. So anyway, but for that to happen I need everything to dry, so that's the painting done. I'll let you know if I decide to do the dry brushing, but I probably won't, because I think that's going to look quite nice how I've done it already. So yeah, next up will be snow effects and sticking the sleigh on. Woohoo! I want to paint up some Middle Earth miniatures, so I'm going to paint these. The Nazgul of Dol Guldur. I've had these for a fair while, bought them when they first came out. So yeah, I'm going to get these taken out of the packaging, prepare them, stick them together, put them on a base, and then paint them up. And I'm hopeful that these are going to be relatively quick and easy to paint, because just to make it clear, when I'm filming this, I'm currently fighting my way through a huge pile of Mahode warriors, and yeah, they're not really proving to be very easy. So well, the warriors are, it's the actual camel riders that are just a bit dragging, and so I think this is going to be a palate cleanser to do to a quick win and make me feel a bit happier, and also motivate me as I keep pushing on through the Far Haradrim stuff, which I really want to get done. But yeah, it is taking time. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take these out of the box, get them cleaned up in my usual way, so wash them, clean off all the bits of spare sprue, and then assemble them together. I'll bring you back when I've got them assembled. I'm about to prime them. But yeah, this is going to be a relatively quick one, and I probably will film this for an average painter, because yeah, why not? So you'll probably see these on an average painter as well. Alright, it's time for my snow, and as always, when I'm about to do snow, I drag out my book by Pat Smith here, Setting the Scene, Winter Wargaming, which is one of the best things I've ever bought. I love it. And in here, he's got his snow paste mix, which is what I use. So it's 4 parts Woodland Scenic Soft Flake Snow. As you can see, this box is almost empty, but fear not, I have another full one here. 2 parts of PVA and 1 part water. So that's that's what he suggests, and you can use alternative bonding agents or different whatevers for different effects. So whether you want slushy to icy snow, but I'm going to go with that one because I know that it makes a nice solid looking snow, which is what I want on here, and that's gonna work well. Now I've just refilled my bottle of PVA and I nearly overfilled it, just stopped in time. So yeah, so I've got PVA here, I've got a little jug of water here, and I do have my soft flake snow. So I don't want to overmake, because yeah, that would be silly to overmake. I'm going to open my fresh one. I'm going to use this one for the frosting, because I'm going to do some frosting to put some new snowfall, easy for me to say. So let's get rid of that seal and put that back on before I knock it over. And what I'm going to do is, really need a teaspoon. Let me get a little plastic teaspoon. That's going to be, I have one over here, it's a bit dirty, but doesn't matter. There we are. So we're going to get 2 teaspoons of snow. I can always mix more up. The thing is, it doesn't really keep. So yeah, if you overfill, over mix, then you're going to be in trouble. Then we're going to do about 1 teaspoon or so of PVA, like that, and then a little bit of water. There we are. And then what I'll do is I'll mix that up. Like I say, I can always mix some more if I need to, and I probably will need to be honest. See, that's probably just a little bit too much water that I've put in there. It's a little bit watery, not very watery, but a little bit watery. So I'm just going to get a little bit more powder in there and mix that in again to thicken it up. And it's really easy, this stuff. It's a really easy technique, and it's really easy to use. It's very hard to make a mistake. It is easy to overmix, but it's hard to make a mistake. So what we're going to do now, I have an old brush. This has been doing sterling work for me this last couple of months, but I think it's getting to the end. These are Elegoo brushes from the Mars. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint this on. And you can use a paintbrush, which is what I'm doing, or I also have a tool that I've used in the past, like a scoopy type tool, which also does a good job. And I'm just going to slap this over like this. I'm not going to totally cover everything, I don't think. I might do in the end. But we're just going to slap this on like this, and you can see just what a great effect it creates. And the reason why I thickened it up some is I really don't want it to be sliding down, which this, even as thick as I've made it, might, because I need to fit Santa Claus's sleigh, don't I? I need to fit the rocket sleigh on here as well before this is dried. So yeah, we're just going to slap that on, and I'll put some music on while I finish this off. Right, that has proven to be almost exactly the right amount. I will mix some more up in a little bit. What I'm going to do now is open this to the shaker side, and I'm just going to shake some over the top, just like this, and that will add a little bit of texture and make it look a little bit more like freshly falling snow than just snow which has fallen ages ago. There we are, a little bit of frosting like on a cake. And now for the risky part, because what I want to do is I'm going to come along and I'm going to attempt to glue this in place like that. So here's hoping that I don't ruin this. You know what, this is going to be better with my thicker super glue, which I'm running out of, which is why I try not to use it as much now. Alright, so we'll put some super glue on here, and some super glue on here, and hopefully the liquid content of the snow is going to enable that to set really quick. And once I've done that, I'll mix up a little bit more snow and just touch up the edges. And I might put a little bit onto the rocket sled. So let's hope this works. I'll turn the camera off and stand here and hold this. I've just been trying for a fair few minutes, and I think actually my idea about having it flying up out is just, yeah, it's just not going to work because it's just too heavy, it's not got enough support, and it's just going to be annoying. So what I'm going to do is, instead of that, I'm going to set it on like this, which means that I'll be able to get far more of the attachment of the glue on, and that should then work. And what I'll probably do is do this, leave it to dry overnight, and then tomorrow come in and do the rest of the snow and attach Santa Claus then. So we're just going to run a bead of super glue along here and along here, and just set it on and then walk away. And I think that is going to have to be good enough, unfortunately. I really did want it looking a little bit more dynamic, but you've got to work with the limitations of the materials you're working with, and that's just slightly too heavy on the front, and yeah, I'd need to do a lot more structural stuff to make that work, which I'm not going to do. So there we are. That hopefully is going to look good. I will leave that overnight and we'll come back tomorrow and mix some more of the glue up. Not so more of the glue, some more of the sand up, of the snow up, and apply that, and I'll bring you along when I do that and show you what it looks like. But ultimately, yeah, really pleased with the effect. I'm really looking forward to seeing what it looks like when it's totally done. Well, while I was working on these transfers, I've realised I've made a bit of a mistake, which I was having an eye about whether I was going to fix, and I am going to fix. So if we have a look here, you can see that it shows the windows as being very small, and you actually put some of these transfers on there. However, if you look at what I've got very large windows. And if you look closely, it wasn't very obvious at all, but if you look closely, I don't know whether that's going to come out at all on the video, but you can see where the panes should be, and the rest of it needs to be painted black. So what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to do this on camera because this is going to be incredibly fiddly and annoying, but I'm going to make use of my liquid mask, and I'm going to paint liquid mask on where we want to have the clear parts of the window, of the whatever cockpit, and then I'm going to paint the rest of it black so that I can then put those transfers on, because yeah, I want it to be right, and I can't believe I missed that. But hey, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, when it's painted probably. I'm just going to use a Vallejo black primer for it, so it won't take me very long to do the painting. I'll just put this on, let it go off, and then paint the whatsits, and then I can do the rest of the transfers, and then we can start working on these awesome icicles. Right, so I'm going to assemble these now. Marauder destroyers from the Imperial Navy for Aeronautica Imperialis. Haven't been in Aeronautica Imperialis world for a fair while, But with the tidying I did over the weekend, last weekend, I think it's time to go back. I've got quite a lot of it to do, and this will be a lot of fun to assemble and paint. So as I've done in my previous ones, I will assemble one, make sure I get it right, and then assemble another one with you watching, and then I'll put the painting for this over on my other channel, An Average Painter. I'll do a full time-lapse painting it, and also probably as part of that time-lapse I will also think about applying some of these, what Americans call stencils, what I call transfers. So yeah, I'm going to have a look at this, give the everything a wash. You don't normally need to wash the Aeronautica stuff, but I'm going to do it anyway because the worst thing in the world is when your paint falls off. It only adds a little bit of time. I can get this washed now. I've not got time to start, so I can wash these now, leave them to dry overnight, and then when I get to them tomorrow, I will be able to, yeah, it'll be ready to assemble. So yeah, I think I get 2 in here. Pretty sure I get 2 in here. Looks like I do. So like I say, I'll get one assembled, and then we'll have a look at that, and I'll show you how to put it together in detail as well. So thanks for watching. Oh, look at that. That's dried overnight, and I'm now mixed up another batch, a little bit less than I made yesterday, but I'm just gonna put that on these gaps like here, and I'm also going to put a little bit onto the actual sled, but it's mainly for this, for the ridge where I knocked it off when I was trying to fit the sleigh. So yeah, going really well this, pretty happy with it. Let's get this put on, and then it'll be a case of sticking Santa Claus in place, and also doing some of the cool ideas I've got for his presents, which you will have to wait and see. I might mix this up a little bit dry, to be honest. I tried to mix it dry, but I might have gone a little bit too far. Oh, it's working okay. Right, I'll get this done. Exactly the same job. I'll bring it back. I'll force forward to when I'm going to start putting it onto the sleigh. Right, so these are the tools that I use quite often for putting the snow in, the little scoops. And it's just a little bit more accurate than the brush, though it's a bit slower, but it works well. So what we're going to do is just fill those gaps in there behind the sleigh. Like so. There we are. And then I'm just going to put little bits of snow on the wings, as if maybe he's scraped it a bit. Maybe just a little bit on here as well. There we are. That's it. Don't want too much on the sleigh, but I do want some. And then I'll put the rest on the roof around the place. Build it up quite thick in places. There we are. So I'll finish doing this. Let that dry, and then we'll stick Santa on and his presents. I'll bring you back when I get to that stage. Nearly done. This is looking awesome. Very, very pleased with how this is looking. Very pleased indeed. I've got these primed up now, so I'll be taking those down to be painted very shortly. Really, really enjoying this little project. It's a really simple project, and I'm hoping that what I paint them as will turn out nicely. and that will, as I said, will probably be over on the Average Painter channel, the actual paint through, and I'll wrap this video up, or I'll come back once I've painted them to show you what they look like. So yeah, let's go get these painted. Right, let's start building this little diorama. So I've taken Santa Claus off of his base, and he is going to end up being stuck up here like that, right on the front, with his foot on that bar. So what I'm going to do is going to require a little bit of super glue activator to get this right. We'll put a quick blast of super glue activator down here and set him in place like so. There we are. So that's him in place, and what we're now going to do is just start to assemble the rest of this, putting the ammo boxes and what have you in place. So I'm going to have a double stack of ammo of these silver ammo boxes at the back of the sled. Drop it, typical, like so. There we are. We'll put a little bit more glue on the top of that, and I'll have another one on top, like this. There we are. So that's where that's going to go. And then what I'm going to do, other than that, is for these, I'm going to have these stacked up along the back. So I'm going to get my tweezers. I'm going to put a bead of super glue along, and then I'll just place these in haphazardly in the back. So let's just zoom in a little bit more, so that's going to be a bit more visible. So I'm just going to put super glue on here, and then drop these in like so. And I'm going to drop them in a bit haphazardly, so they're a bit of a mess, because he is flying crazy. Let's get a green one in next. That can go like there, and then purple one can drop in at an angle. Oh, let's get that in the right place. So yeah, I'm just going to continue doing this. If I get that to work, there it is, that's where I want it. Put a little bit more super glue in there, and what I can do is, if I want to freeze it in place, just a little bit of activator, and that will sort that out. Right, so yeah, so I'm just going to keep building these up and dropping them in, and then this will be done, bar a little bit of varnish, I think. There we are. So yellow one, put that to the back. Perfect. That slotted in exactly where I wanted it. There we are. You can see a little bit better there now. So yeah, so I'll keep doing this, and I'll bring you back and show you what it looks like when it is completely finished. And there he is, with his jumble of presents in the back. That worked really well. And yeah, he's really pleased with that. I think that's going to look fantastic, and Rosie's going to love it. So that will be put onto the Christmas table, the dining table, as a surprise. I do try and do something. Last year I think I did a dragon, a Christmas dragon. So yeah, that will go onto the dining table, and will be a nice little surprise and a decoration that will come out every year as part of our decorations, along with the Grinch one that I did just the other day. So yeah, winning, getting ahead of this. Managed to get it finished before Christmas. It is the 19th now, so yeah, managed to get that done in good time, and I'm particularly pleased with how my brickwork came out. It was nice to revisit that technique, and that worked really well. So there we are, another project done. Well, this is done, and it's so big I'm going to need to pan the camera. So currently we've got the double layer of the tower. Now, it's okay, it's pretty sturdy, but it's probably not sturdy enough. So it's worked okay, but it's probably not worked as well as I wanted it to. So it's an experiment, and some things work, some things don't. And it may be that there's a better way of doing it, and if you have any ideas, pop them in the comments below. But ultimately, you can have this set up on your table, and then if you want to place miniatures on here, you could lift that off and just put it somewhere else, so you didn't risk damaging your miniatures. So that's probably how I would play it anyway, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's better than without those little plastic bits. But because I think mainly the reason it's a bit wobbly is this is such a shallow kind of like set area that it doesn't really have the ability to catch, and it could be that I should actually put all the way around, because this way it's pretty solid. This way, where I haven't put anything on here, is not. So I think that's probably the solution, maybe to put a little bit more plastic here and here, and I might do that as well, so this might not be the end of the video. But yeah, it's pretty much done. The little bit of scatter terrain looks great. Cardboard is not the best of materials for this, but it's worked out all right, actually, to be honest. I think it looks quite nice, so that works well. And the fact of the building actually lifting on and off, and the and how the texture looks, and the snakes on it, yeah, pretty happy. So I might have a think. I might do a little bit more. I've got time. I've got plenty of time, so I might put a little bit more of this plastic just on around all the rest of it, and see if that improves the stability. And if it does, then win. But if it doesn't, then yeah, I think it's just going to be a case of having to deconstruct it when we play with it. And that is obviously the concept anyway, because you take this off and then you get access to the to the inside. So actually, while we're saying that, let's lift this off very carefully, show you how this works. So we lift it off very carefully. It scrapes on the on the tower, but inside you can see that we have our floor plan, and that has worked very well. So you've got the doors coming in here, door here, door here. And you can easily move your miniatures around. Let's get my little dude here, so you can walk here and you can move around. Each of these squares isn't measured. In retrospect, I could have done them 1 centimetre squares, but I don't really play squares in my games. It's more just for texture. But yeah, it looks brilliant, and it's really playable, and that's a really good thing. So there we are. I will report back probably if I do this extra plastic thing, but otherwise, that's that project done. I had a Kickstarter delivery today, the Kimera paint set. So let me just get that single-use plastic off and have a look inside. That is a beautiful box indeed. Mark Maskland's skin colours, and it has, if I zoom out a little bit, it has how to use it, which is just fantastic. Mixing though, 40-40-20. So this is going to be a totally new experience as to how I paint. But I did want to give it a go. Oh, they're quite cool bottles, aren't they? So that will have to be done on something soon, but probably not this year, as I'm mainly going for quantity over quality. So, but yeah, that's really cool that arrived, and once I've got a bit of chance to have a play around with them, I might try to give a little bit of feedback. But bottom line is, Kimera Paints are fantastic from what I know, so I expect these to be superb. Well, I finished painting up my random villagers, and while I was down there I found these two as well, which were stuck to a lollipop stick from ages ago. I think actually they might have been being painted up for my dinosaur ship diorama, which I did quite a long time ago. Didn't use them, and they've just stayed there. So they're going to also be joining this. They will only be, I did actually paint them, so I'm going to claim them. I'm not sure if I'm going to claim them as painted as part of my target. I am past my target, so once it doesn't matter. I did actually have to touch them up and finish them off, but these are at the back are the ones that I've painted up, and I'm really pleased how they look. They're going to be really nice as kind of like passers-by, bystanders. Got a little kid, got a couple of family, got a pregnant woman here, like I've said, a kid with a baby there, another kid with a child. So that's always adds some interest and some story to the game when you're playing it. So I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to base these up now, and once they're based, I'll show you what they look like. I'm just going to use my standard basing technique with Luke's base ready stuff, and yeah, get those painted up, get those based up, and then they're done and they can be added to the list. So yeah, really happy with that. And now I'm going to have to pick, actually I have got more stuff I'm painting, so I don't need to put anything more else onto the painting bench because I'm already overwhelmed down there. While I was going through some old projects last night down on my painting bench, I found this on the shelf on my Kvissel, which is Gandalf on cart, and it's painted completely, it's finished. It just, even washed and everything, it just needs to be based. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to base this up, and I'm going to try and get this done before the end of the year, and I'm going to do a really nice scenic base on this. So the two models just need to be glued together. They're pretty much ready for that. But what I want to do is I want to do Gandalf coming down a narrow track, and I'm going to put bushes on the sides, might even put a little tree, not sure, but I'm going to do a really nice scenic base and have Gandalf come down the middle. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is get some green stuff or some milliput or something like that, and I'm going to build up a like a mound on each side, so it's a sunken lane, and then I can put the terrain on either side of him and he can be going down the middle. Now in game terms it's going to, well, I'm probably never going to play him, but in game terms it won't matter that he's going to be behind bushes because that's going to be part of the model. But yeah, it's going to look really nice. So I'm going to get my milliput, I'm going to bring you along on this, going to film all of this because this is going to be a really fun basing project, and hopefully I can get it done this year before the end of the year. But ultimately I'm just pleased I found him. I can't believe that I painted him and then didn't base him. I do remember painting him, I have no idea why I didn't base him. So let's get some milliput out and start building up our little sunken lane. Alright, so what I've done is I've just taken a pencil and drawn a line on where the edge of the track is going to go. I'm going to do this in two stages. I'm going to build up the side first based on where I've drawn the line, and then once I've done that, then I'll look at putting the rutted track in between, and I think that's just going to be the best way to do it, to make sure that I don't make the track too narrow basically. So we've got our milliput, as you can see, and I'm going to mix it up now and start to build up the sides of this track. So just get my knife. Gonna need a fair bit of milliput for this. Don't need to mix it all at once. Just get some water to help with the mixing process. Let's get this all combined. So this might take a few minutes. So I'll turn the camera back on and I'll come back when I'm ready to start actually putting the milliput into place. Oh, here we are. I've got a big lump of milliput, so I'm gonna start to apply that here to the base, and I think I should have enough to do what I want to do, because I don't want it to be too massively high. Like, I don't want it to be a mountain, but I do want it to be to look like a sunken track, as I've said a few times now. So what I'll do is I will shape it to the contour I want, smooth it out with this tool, and then leave it to go off for a fair while, I think. And then once this has gone off, I'll come back with some more milliput, and I'll do a rutted track in between. So this is going to look great. There we are. Cool. So I will set this on the windowsill. It's cold here but sunny. That'll speed the curing process a bit, dry the water off it. And yeah, I think that looks great. Let's just slot Gandhi on his horse, and you can see that's definitely wide enough, and that's going to work all right. So I will let that go off and I'll bring it back when it comes to do the ruts. Well, I did decide to add the extra tabs in, and you can see, I mean, it's still a bit wibbly, it's going to be a bit wibbly, but it is much more secure than it was. And if I put that one on top to make it as tall as it's going to be, I mean, you can probably game with that, I'd have said, if you're cautious and careful. You're going to be able to move miniatures around there, it's not going to fall off. I mean, if you're clumsy, you're going to be able to bash it, and that's fine. Just don't be clumsy. But that was a good idea to add to that. So I think that's that build finished. I'm pretty pleased with how it looks. I've had a lot of fun with this. Really enjoyed doing it. And yeah, pretty cool result. And it's nice to make use of something which I've had stored to build and to make for quite a long time. You can't really see me. It's a bit hard to get a shot on this. So yeah, there we are, finished project. Hopefully I'll be able to get a game on it at some point. That'd be really fun. This will be an amazing table with the Snake Temple and this, and maybe some scattered terrain, similar to the cardboard that I did. I think it would look great, so I might try and get that done at some point. And if I do, I'll try to film it and put it onto the channel. And I got that painted up, and I'm much happier now that I've spotted that. Very pleased that I got that done. So I've just got a couple of more transfers to put on this, but I might actually, because I'm not really in a transfer applying mood today, I think I'm actually going to make a start with the little icicles. So I've just brought those over now, they're here. So what I'll do is I'm going to get myself set up, I'll get the camera pointed in correctly, and I'll try to capture some of it on camera. Then probably most of it I'll do off camera, and then I'll show what it looks like when it's finished. But yeah, I'm not sure how many I'm going to go through, whether I'm going to go for 1 or 2 packets. But I'm going to sit down now and sit at my desk and work on these. And I say I'll set the camera up for a quick snap of what I'm doing. Most of it I'll do off camera. Right, so here we are at my desk. So I'm going to do a little bit of this on camera and then most of it off. So I've opened the packet, and the way these are, they're on little sprues, and they are actually attached as little runs, which is going to be really good. So you can remove it from the sprue very easily, work out roughly what you want to do. So if I'm going to start from the front, which is going to be here, I'm looking at the picture, I'm going to need to run one, stick one to this, to the little thing at the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this all of this off now. There we are. And I'm going to want to have some of the smaller ones. So if I offer that up, I think that if I go from that larger one there, offer it up again, I think that's going to work out well, going to just before that large one there. So what we'll have, and I'll be able to like get some other smaller ones as well from either on a different bit of the sprue. So you can see actually here's quite a good one as well, just there. That little one there is quite good. But I think this is going to be fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it on like that. Now the bead that it's actually sitting on is just a tiny bit too big. So this is where it could all go wrong, because we do want to keep them attached, otherwise they're just going to be impossible to place. I'm not going to be placing them individually. So let's see how well this is going to work. So a little bead, just spread that little bead of super glue out along, get my little icicles and place it on top, and there we are, we've got our first icicles. So what then happens is it comes along here and goes all the way along there. So this is where potentially I'm not going to cut, what I'm going to do is take this run here and glue it down like so. So we'll go from where it starts to where it ends, there, and we'll just run a bead of super glue along, roughly where we want to stick it. Now it might be that I end up needing to have the super glue activator for this, particularly where we've got a bend, but let's just see how it works. I know this is probably you're not able to see very much from the angle of the camera. Apologies. It could also be that if you want to do this a little bit better than I'm doing it, you could potentially warm these up, have a bowl of hot water, so warm them up so they get a bit more flexible, and then they might be easier to encourage into shape. There we are. So let's see how well this works. I'll just put some music on while I'm holding it. There we are, nearly. Just this last little bit. Well, what I might do is leave it to dry like that, and then once that's done, push this round, or I could get the super glue activator. I'm going to work on this without the camera running. I'll give you a few more hints and tips as I learn. This is the first time I've done it, so I'll be back in a bit with a little bit more of a understanding of how it works. But basically that's the idea, and we're going to end up with the icicles coming all the way along here and coming all the way along the edge here and on the other side as well, and that's what I'm going to aim to do this evening. So yeah, I'll come back later with some more tips and update you on how it's gone. Well, would you look at that? Absolutely beautiful, and that was really, really easy. So this stuff is great. It actually bends quite easily. You can even mould it around your fingers and it stays in shape. But I did end up using my super glue activator just to make sure it stayed. But yeah, it's really, really good. And I didn't even use, I think I probably used about half of a pack to do all of this. So I've got loads more of that left over, which is also very, very awesome. So I'm really happy with that. I'm umming and ahhing about how I'm going to do the top. As I've said a few times, the top needs to have some kind of a frosting effect coming on here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and stick this down to the base, and then at least it can go somewhere and not get damaged, and then I can think and take some advice. If anyone has any advice on how to put frosting on the top, fire it over, but then I can put it to one side. I might just leave it as it is. I might say if I get some advice or some suggestions, then I'll take that on board. I will possibly do some tests of my PVA idea on something that doesn't matter quite as much, and if that works, then maybe I'll just paint PVA over it and see what it looks like. So that might be something else I do, but I don't need to wait for that to stick it down to the base and make it slightly less likely to get damaged. So I'm gonna do that now. So I'll turn the camera around, go over to my other bench and get that done. And by the way, that only took about 20 minutes. It didn't take very long at all. It was a very quick process and I love it, absolutely love it. So one really cool thing with this kit, which is quite rare actually for the kits I'm building, is it is not a tail sitter. So it's just sitting there now with no glue and it's absolutely fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some glue onto the wheel and drop it down. That then means I've got that location. This glue stick is actually running out. And then I'm going to come in here and get some glue on this wheel. I've knocked a bit, and then on this wheel. It's actually not very easy to do this. Missed. Lift that off, turn it upside down. That's in completely the wrong place. So what I'll do is put some glue on the bottom of the wheels, like so, and then turn it back over, and hopefully that will, caught it on my paper. Hopefully into that, get it straight and central. The point I want is to make sure that that delicate nose probe does not go over the edge. Right, there we are. I think that's okay. Let's wipe that super glue I dropped from there. Keep it nice and clean. Right, so now I'm going to leave that to go off. I'm not going to spray it with the super glue accelerant because that does actually turn things a little bit white sometimes, and I don't want that. So I'm going to leave that alone now, and then when that's gone off, which won't take very long, I'll be able to put that out on display, and wow, am I pleased. Got a few more transfers to put on by here as well, so I need to get that done, and then, as I say, put the frosting on top, but that's going to be something for another time. This is a big moment for me. I've had this for years. Angela bought it for me a very long time ago, and it has sat on my mountain of opportunity ever since. Now, way back at the beginning of my YouTube, I did a video about Holy Grail builds, builds that scare you or that you're a bit nervous of doing, and this was one of them. So I actually have two of these. One of them is still in the mountain of opportunity, and I'm going to open this up, and I don't actually know if this comes with instructions. So if it doesn't, I'm going to need to email the manufacturer, and I do know who the manufacturer is, I just can't remember off the top of my head, and I'm going to have to ask them to send me the instructions. They do still sell this. It's Dark Ops, the Dark Ops frigate, I think. And we're just going to see if there are instructions in here, and if there aren't, then I'm going to get onto going to have to go on a phone call, because, and it doesn't look like there are. So that's a bit disappointing. So I'm going to have to get on and email them. So when you go on and look to buy this now, it says comes with instructions in the pack, but I think I've had this so long that back when they sold this to me, the instructions used to be online, and I haven't been able to find them. I've been looking and looking and looking, and I can't find them. So that's a huge shame. And obviously, it being Christmas Eve right now, they probably won't get back to me for weeks. And I built up and built up and built up my desire to do this, and it's going to have to be shelved, but maybe not, because I can seal everything. So what I might do first is get my watered down PVA and just paint over everything. So clean out any bits of sprue. So a lot of these are just fallen out, but you can just see that there's one little square in there. So knock through any of those so we don't seal them in with our glue. And then yes, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go through and I'm going to seal everything with PVA. So I'll email them, look for the instructions, look for the assembly instructions, and then while I'm waiting for them to reply, I can seal and I can start painting, because I am going to paint this on the sprue, and then once it's all assembled, I'll then touch up any bits that need to be touched up, and that's how I'm going to do it. But I do need instructions, because look at this. I mean, look at all of those are individual pieces, all of these. I mean, it's just going to be insane, that. And yeah, you've got to build like the ribs. Well, I might be able to work it out, but I don't want to. I want to do it right. So I'll bring you back, show you what it looks like while I'm painting when I'm sealing the first one, and I'll bring you along for the painting process for all of this. And then as soon as I get a response for the instructions, then we will be able to hopefully start assembling. I'm reluctant to open, so I bought them both at the same time, so I'm not going to open the other one in the hope that the other one has instructions. I am just going to email them and find out whether they can send them to me. Not too disappointed, as I say, because there's progress I can make, there's stuff I can do, but I really wanted to look at the instructions and find out just how painful it's going to be. I've also got to do this, not through all of these not through all the little blanks. Right. I'll be back very shortly in your time, and in about 10 minutes in mine, I think. So I've contacted them, email sent. This is the Dark Ops Galleon, as you can see, or maybe you can't, I'm not sure, but as you might be able to see up there. Dark Ops Galleon, oops, just going to move that out of the way, so I don't want that to get covered in glue. So what I'm going to do now is I've got my watered down PVA here, and I'm literally just going to come along, paint over the whole of everything, and then when that's dried, then I'll turn it over and I'll paint all over the other side as well. Now what this does is it seals the wood. And the reason why sealing the wood is a good idea is because it means when you're painting it, it doesn't take as much paint. And that's actually, I don't know if you knew this, but that's actually what PVA is. It's actually, we use it to seal concrete. It's not necessarily just a glue, it is also an industrial sealer. So this is technically using PVA for one of its more popular uses in the building trade. So there we are. Anyway, I'm going to paint over all of it like this. I won't film it all because it is literally just me doing this. I'll let that dry, do the other side. Maybe by that point I might even have some instructions, depending on whether, well, I doubt it, it's Christmas Eve tomorrow and it's a Sunday, so I don't expect to have an answer until maybe late next week, to be honest, when they might be back in the office. But I've got lots of tiny bits of sprue all over the bench, so it's lifting it up a bit, look. Yeah, so I'll get that done and bring it back when I come to do the actual putting some colour on, if I decide to, or otherwise I'll just wait to get the instructions. But there are things I can definitely paint, like the decks, or everything that looks like wood I can paint, and I can get in and paint this lovely feature here. So probably we'll just bring it back and start painting even before I've heard from them, but we shall see. For now, I'm going to keep priming. Well, just packing this up, thinking about taking this to go and take a picture, and I realised I forgot to paint the door. So I'm just going to quickly get that done, and then this really will be finished. So I'm doing the door in light grey, mainly to make it stand out, and also because wood turns light grey the older it gets, so it kind of makes it look a little bit like a very old door. But like I say, mainly just to make it stand out and obvious. It's a gaming decision, this, rather than a modelling decision, and that's something you have to do when you're creating terrain, is think about what's more important. Playability, which I would consider this as, so it's obvious for the gamers that there's a door here, or realism. And sometimes there's like a payoff between the two. You have to go one way or the other. And most of the time with gaming terrain, you want to go to playability, because there's no point in having really nice terrain that you just can't play on. That's pointless. So playability is king for me when I'm doing gaming terrain. So there we are, just quickly get that painted. I'll let that dry, and then I can go and take my photographs and enter it into the challenge. And there are some new people entering this time, and I'm very pleased about that. So there we are. And if you want to enter, I mean, there's still time, we've still got a week left, so you can still jump over, come and join us on the TCU as I'm recording this for the vlog, and get involved. There's still a week to go. Scrap and home is the theme, but yeah, otherwise next week Ryan will announce a new challenge, and you can definitely get involved with that one, so we'd love to have you there. Anyway, that now is officially, finally, absolutely done, and yeah, I'll go and take my pictures and enter this into the challenge, and I've just really enjoyed this build. It's been a lot of fun indeed. Well then, there you are. I sat in the intro when I was recording the intro thinking I've not done very much, it's going to be a short vlog. Over an hour long again. So yeah, it just goes to show that often I don't realise how much I've achieved, and these vlogs really do help me to review, as well as obviously having you guys that watch, everyone that watches, really appreciate you. But it's got a lot of value to me as well, which is good. I hope you enjoyed it. If you made it this far, wonderful, you're awesome, and I really appreciate it. Don't forget to vote for which of the Reaper miniature you want me to paint at the end of this week, at the beginning of next week. You have all week to comment on this video. It's one entry per person per video, so if you vote twice you still only get entered once, and I will take your first answer in time and put the vote for that miniature. So you can only vote for one miniature, and you can only vote once per video. I am releasing a couple of videos tomorrow on Christmas Day. One is going to be on this channel, and two are going to be over on my Average Painter channels. So if you're bored on Christmas Day, you'll have me to keep you company, but otherwise I just really appreciate you watching, and thank you for joining me, and I really hope that you have a wonderful Christmas, because hey, It is Christmas Day tomorrow. I'm very excited. I'm going to go now and play with a very excited Rosie, so wish me luck. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm going to stop rambling. I'm going to say Happy Christmas once more, and I am going to wrap up by saying, as I always do, sadly still, if any of you are impacted by the wars in Ukraine and Israel, this is not a time of good cheer for those people. It's just horrendous. And my thoughts do go out to you and anyone you know who may be in that horrible situation. And to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, stay well, and Happy Christmas.